Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So last week's video, I mentioned that I'm going to be working on redoing my children's bedroom. And what I wanted to share with y'all this week was this beautiful accent wall. I installed Wallpop's peel and stick wallpaper. It's a faux brick, as you can see. And I also painted his bedroom. And in this video, I wanted to show y'all just exactly how I did it. So let's get started. Here's a quick look as to how the room looked like beforehand. It was a darker beige tone. I jumped right into removing the outlet covers from every single outlet in his bedroom. Some of them were a little bit difficult to get off because the previous owners painted with the outlet covers installed. I'm using Valspar Signature Paint in the shade Dorian Gray from HGTV Sherwin-Williams line. It's such a beautiful color. Anytime I paint a room, I like to start with the edges of the walls, the outlet covers, above the baseboards, and around all the trim. It just makes things a little bit easier when you go to grab your paint roller and start to painting those walls. You don't really have to worry about getting close to the edges because you've already taken care of that step. I also wanted to add that when I was painting my very first coat on the wall, I did need to bring out my ladder so that I can reach the top half of the wall. Well, when it came to painting the second coat on the wall, I decided to invest in a extender, in a pole extender, and it made everything all the more easier. I literally did not have to use my ladder. The tools you're going to need for this project are your wallpaper, a wallpaper smoother, a level, a crafting blade, and a ladder. Optional tools are going to include a pair of scissors and a measuring tape. And I don't have one, but either a pen or a pencil. Okay, now installation. Before you order, you gotta know what amount of rolls to order. So just to kind of give you a little bit of an estimate, these rolls are approximately 20.5 inches wide by 18 feet in length. And depending on how tall your ceilings are or the area that you want to do, if you just want to do like half of wall, whatever the case may be. So what you need to do is make sure that you measure correctly. My ceilings are 8 feet tall and the width of the wall is 11.5 feet wide. I ordered a total of 5 rolls. I didn't need 5, I needed 4, but I went ahead and ordered the extra roll because I'd never installed wallpaper. And y'all, let me tell you something. It was time consuming, sure, but it was totally worth it. And I recommend if it's something that you want to do and it fits within your budget, go for it. It's going to provide such an impact into any space. Installing the very first panel was the most difficult and time consuming of the entire process. Once I put it on the wall, it did stick, but it was also easy to remove and adjust. It took me roughly 25 to 30 minutes, but that was because I was trying my best to get it as level as I possibly could. It was extremely important to me that I didn't walk into the room after knowing that I was going to spend a couple of hours on the installation and see a lopsided piece of wallpaper on the wall. So I took my time and I was extremely patient with the entire process. My walls are not completely square, meaning they're not completely straight. They're just not. Once I determined that my walls were level, I went ahead and continued on with the installation. Removing the backing of the wallpaper slowly, a couple of inches at a time, and use my squeegee to smooth down the surface. Now, one thing that I loved about this, I keep calling it a squeegee or referring to it as a squeegee. That's not what it is, but it's because it's a wallpaper smoother. But it comes with two different sides. It comes with this like felt side that I felt most comfortable using, and then it came with this side as well. I used the felt side. It just gave me more comfort. I was a little terrified that I was gonna cut the paper or damage it. Even though it's a pretty thick quality paper, I just didn't want to chance it. Once I reached the bottom of the wall where it met the baseboard, just to make sure that the wallpaper was lined up well, I used the wallpaper smoother and the blade and slowly made my way across the top of the baseboards, moving my wallpaper smoother and the blade simultaneously. Each panel that I ordered was 18 feet long. My walls are 8 feet long, meaning that I had roughly 2 extra feet to work with in hopes that one wallpaper roll will cover 2 panels on my wall. Make sure that you pay extra careful to the pattern repeat on your wallpaper. Depending on whatever kind of wallpaper you receive, there usually is a repeat. The design was repeated every few rows. Once I figured out the placement of the pattern repeat, I went ahead and took my scissors and I cut off the excess just to make it a little bit more easier for me. I then unpeeled the backing of the wallpaper to expose the sticky portion and placed that on the wall, but overlapping just a smidge. You can sort of tell where the wall panels meet when you do this, but in reading the reviews, some of the customers noticed a little bit of shrinkage in their paper and then gaps were exposed. So if you want to sort of prevent that from happening, I recommend personally to overlap your wallpaper just a smidge. I chose to go with like 1/16 of an inch in overlap. Sure, you can tell in some places of the wallpaper, but I'm okay with it because with the huge texture that this provides, you can hardly tell where the seams are. As you can see here, I am slowly pulling the backing of the wallpaper a little bit at a time and using that wallpaper smoother to smooth out the surfaces little by little. Just take your time. Now, when you get to the outlets, just be careful that you don't poke in too much or catch a wire or something and electrocute yourself. This isn't a process that you would need to turn off the breaker panel for. So make sure that you're careful with this process because that blade is really, really sharp. So what I did here was just felt around for the outlet itself and then grabbed my blade and slowly started cutting away and used my wallpaper smoother to smooth out the surfaces surrounding. Don't be in a hurry to do this part because you don't want to cut too much away because you want to ensure that you have that crisp, clean line when you install your wall outlet cover again. Okay, now we're at the very end of the wallpaper installation and I got a little bit nervous at this step, I'm not gonna lie. So I had to stand back and sort of evaluate what I needed to do. The panel was a little too wide for the space that I needed it for. And so what I did was measure, that's where this came in handy. I decided to measure out how much of exposed wall I had and I added 1 additional inch to it. After measuring and lining up the pattern, don't just measure one portion of the wall. Make sure you measure from the top all the way to the bottom because your walls could be a little lopsided. It might have nothing to do with you or your leveling process. It may just have been the contractor installing the walls. We don't know that. I cut off the excess from the top of the panel that I was working with. I then laid my panel out on the floor, and as you can see, my bedroom is empty, so try to find a place that you can lay out your entire panel on the floor so that you can make your markings to cut the wallpaper. Side note, this is the only panel that I didn't even use a level for because I figured I had done every other panel, used the level, it was straight, so if this last panel couldn't be installed without a level, then I did something wrong with the level beforehand. So I just made sure that the pattern was matched up, lined up, unpeeled it, and started sticking it to the wall. This is another place that you're going to need to take your time and use your patience. I cut off the bottom portion where it met the baseboards first, and then I moved on to the side wall, working my way in small sections at a time, not rushing at all. The last thing I needed to do was install the outlet covers, which is a pretty simple process considering it's just one screw. Since I took off the outlet covers prior to installation, installing them over the wallpaper was pretty satisfying. Very crisp, very clean. It looks so good, and it added that perfect punch that I was looking for. My son is going to flip when he sees this wall. I'm really excited about it, as you can see. The walls were a dark brown, and now they are so bright. They're gray. This white and gray washed brick really elevated this bedroom. It's gonna look so good once all of his furniture goes in, and I cannot wait to start that process. Look at those lines. Oh, I'm so proud. And that was it. That was a wallpaper installation. The next thing to do is to start bringing in furniture, and I am so glad to bring y'all along with me during that process. So be on the lookout for future videos for this series. If you enjoyed today's video, give me a thumbs up. I am so glad y'all stopped by today. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!